So, thanks, Peter and Chris, for having us here. As we heard from the Fractal guys this morning that customer onboarding is purely manual, credit decision is purely manual, so we address another topic that's purely manual in banking. Maybe most of it is purely manual in banking, like the testing. Compliance testing for terminals being scheme compliance and like regression testing for function compliance. As you hear, I'm from Switzerland. I'm from Zurich, so English is a foreign language for me. So that's why I brought Paul, a local guy.
I'm from Sheffield, so English is a foreign language for me too.
So a local guy who, where we did some projects here, especially here. So Paul is from IntelliQA. He's absolute enthusiastic about quality assurance. So IntelliQA is a very good quality assurance consultant company and system integrator. They put everything together and make it work and automate test environments for customers.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
shall I do your sales pitch?
Yeah, since I'm not allowed to do a sales pitch for me, maybe you can introduce me.
Daniel's from Abrantix. Abrantix is a Swiss-based payments software engineering company. They're technology-driven. They've got lots of development practice, and they really focus on being able to do things quickly and well. And so they've got a high degree of agility, and they make solutions happen. And it's good to work with you.
Thanks. So actually, as we are a payment company, so we actually do a lot of payment terminal software. We have more than 150,000 payment terminals in Europe for acquirers, programmed for acquirers, that run 70+ models in 23 countries. So it means like we have to test like idiots. And it's just a stupid pain in the ass job. Put cards in, enter codes, put cards in, enter codes. So that's why we came up with this robot, and we found then Paul as a system integrator we worked with. And yeah, we had this interesting project. Maybe you can explain what exactly we did in England with this customer, which is not mentionable.
The need to do this came from a senior level person who was director of engineering, who had a look at what was being done, and he could see guys in India that were doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 1, 5. You know, it was pretty boring in the activity that was being done. So repeating certification style testing and regression testing on top, going round and round and round and round. And he said, surely this can be done with the robots. And so he said, can you go and please have a look at this and see if you can do this with robots? And so we looked at what was needed to be done, and we knew that if we started to try and build robots from scratch, we'd get so far, but a better thing to try and do is to try and go and find a robot that's in existence. And so we did a broad search, and then we found these guys. And so we found these robots, and the robots, though, are only part of the problem. Because if you want to make regression testing that is robust, repeatable, and all the rest, you need a good way of expressing the test that you're going to need to do. You need to have the test automation mechanisms to interface with the client software, and which can be mobile point of sale or point of sale or on the terminal themselves. And you need to be able to simulate the cards. And you need to be able to do this, you need to be able to do the robotic element, and then the other thing that you need to be able to do is to be able to validate the results. And so I'm sure that some of the testing that goes on is a contravention of human rights with the people doing this all the time. But the robots, although this is going around on the same loop with no transactions there, then the robots do it, they do it for hours and hours on end.
So then in this case, the main motivation, what was it? Was it more regression testing, or was it also like scheme compliance testing, EMV level 3 and stuff like this?
So the main driver for this was regression testing. Because you get so many of the scheme compliance tests, and then you have a far broader set of regression tests that cater for the specifics of an organization. And it's worth saying that the main motivator was, it wasn't to remove people. The main motivator was to speed the process, to prevent the blocks, because the manual test element means that you need to get a certain number of people that need to be hitting the keys, and all of the rest of your software delivery lifecycle can go quickly. You can do your overnight builds, and everybody can be ready to go really quickly, and then you can't do this part fast enough. And so by doing this, then we can fit the manual regression test within a short window, which means that then you can run overnight, and then the following day, then people can come in and then do the feature testing of the things that have been introduced the day before. Okay. And so quality of life and speed.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. We had this as well, lots of tests to get it faster, and then also regression testing. That's a big issue, like the scheme compliance stuff. I just know from a big acquirer in Europe we work a lot for, they need to perform 600 EMV level 3, that's the MTIP ADV testing, since they have 180 models in 23 countries of terminals. And if you do this manually, you need an armada of people just pushing buttons, and therefore we have this experience as well. So the driver for this was then like also some kind of innovation, or what was it, or is it also to digitalize stuff, or who ordered, or who was like the guy who really wanted to do this in?
Yeah, so you started with a guy in a senior position who wanted to do something more sensible, but nothing happens within technology just because of that. Then you need to have business justification behind. And you could see the ready business justification behind, because it makes both the process less expensive and also makes it faster. And then on top of this, then what happens to the people that were doing the pressing the keys? Well, they get really enthused about the robots. As you know, my WhatsApp is alive with guys doing robots mainly in India, with hey, can we do? What do we do to do this?
That was actually the fun story, that these guys sent the robots to India.
Yeah.
I mean, their labor is like cheap there or not.
Yeah, but the robots enhance quality of life, and they also make it more repeatable. You don't get the mistake that stops your build from going live.
Yeah, we also had some customers that pushing or buying the robots also because they're innovative. And they really push out whole marketing campaigns where they show terminals tested by robots. They say, our bank is only as good because we are also testing the terminals with robots. I had a speech at Nexo. I was at the Nexo conference like 3 weeks ago, and Adian was there, and they mentioned like 25% of their speech was like they test their terminals with robots. That's why they're fast. That's why they're good. That's why they can deliver easily. So you also had some.
You see other ones
I heard
as well.
The CEO was traveling to India. The WorldPay CEO was traveling to India just to see the robots.
Yeah, so Charles Drucker saw the robots in London, and the outgoing CEO of WorldPay saw the robots in India. And they seem to gather everybody's attention. You would have thought it's just pressing the buttons, but where you've got a rig with robots, then the people come and look. And we've just sold robots to a major retailer who, our proof of concept robot, who's named Archie for some reason, our proof of concept robot, he was in India with me, and they wanted to keep him because the CIO's come in, and so the robot seemed to gather C-level attention, so well done.
So they also did some...
Yeah, this was for a petrol retailer, and so we interfaced the robots relatively quickly because of the design into their payment setup labs where they're emulating fuel stations with point-of-sale systems. It's all good fun, really.
So then, where's my questions? Need to get my voices. So what changed the most when you start test automation in a bank environment? Because it's actually massive. Like, people underestimate what's going to change when you do this, because changing from Excel sheets to software that tests
Yeah, so most of the players in this market have got a reasonable understanding of test, and they've got some test automation, if not a broader range of test automation. But what's still not commonplace, I'm 92 years old, as you know, and I've been working with test automation for around 20 years. And you know, what's not really seen is the level of diligence and expertise you need to get it to run well. And so you need to have either external help to bring that industrialization in, or you need to have the guys with the persistence to make it not fail on the 70th iteration. And you're trying to test the reliability. You know, to be able to do this, then your platform's obviously got to be reliable. It's no good trying to do this with a platform that's falling down every 2 minutes because it's just a test platform, and everybody says, oh, it's okay, it's just a test platform. You need to have platform reliability, and then you need to have the desire, yeah. That's one of the killers, oh, it's just a test platform. Because, you know, you're going to release software off the basis of that, and for the defects that hit production and impact people's lives, then, you know, it's not really good enough, is it?
So, but, I mean, this project took like a year plus or something, so was it like most of the time was like interfacing with the robots, or was it also like establishing all these processes around testing? And because I can't subscribe or can't say that most of the banks have a good understanding of test automation. I say the fewest have a good understanding because there's only like a few using robots for testing.
Yeah, I think the majority of the time was from establishing the business need and then this element. Because, you know, which comes back to what you're saying really is there a real understanding in organizations of how much these things are costing? Because, you know, it's just test. Somebody else does it, you outsource it, you do something with it, you know, and it often gets overlooked. And so... Yeah,
but as we also had, testing is off the bottleneck of releasing software to your customers. I don't know how other acquirers are, but we see sometimes like the delivery path being bottlenecked by the testing department because all your software programmers, they write the application, they're ready to deploy, but then it can't be tested, and you need to test for scheme compliance. And so did you really speed up the test processes, and how much did it speed up?
So what should have been done each day was taking 4 people 2 days, and so you couldn't really do it per day. And now it's done with no people in 3 hours. So it means that you can then you can be testing the changes that you made on Wednesday, on Thursday, knowing that all of the tests that are done with the continuous integration have been tested overnight, which is, you know, that's most people's desire, is to be able to run test overnight and then go and test the change during the day. Which
and they also rolled out applications faster, or could you feel that, or?
Yes, because you always know that you've got continuously working software, which is one of the fundamentals of Agile.
Yeah, I found this with our customers, that if you start having robust testing, then you can program in the day, at night it will be tested. That's what we do. We program the terminals. At night everything will be tested. You get a test report in the morning that then you know if you had done a good programming job during the day or not. And that also leads to that the developers dig in much deeper into the applications, because if you have no testing environment, then people are getting afraid of doing mistakes and they don't program as much because maybe they crash something on the other side.
It forces silos as well, doesn't it? Because then you've got the dev guys who blame the test guys, and then the project management guys who chase everybody, or and it doesn't really work too well. In doing it this way, the dev people have far more confidence in the test people. They're far more willing to risk change. They're far more willing to do change, and the ethos becomes more joined and happier.
Yeah, that's what we experienced as well. Yeah, it's
quite
just
strange,
like
it just a little
has a lot of impact on customer awareness, product quality, and service delivery for acquirers. So why do we think like banks are not adopting faster to this stuff?
I think the
you're
big
also
players,
working for other industries, or let's say if you do like mobile web pages, like everything will be tested automatically, but terminals are not.
I think people see it as a big challenge, and we don't really address it in the way that we have. You know, they've not really gone to, okay, so this is a problem, I can break down my problem, and then I can address my problem step by step. So how do I get the card simulation part to work? How do I get the robot part to work? And I think too often it's viewed as a big point of, you know, so maybe that part can be left manual because, you know, and that can be funding for 2030, rather than making the funding available now because it's not that expensive, and then you know, and then getting the driver out.
Okay, yeah, makes me to this. We did the integration with UL tools, so
yeah.
But you basically drove this. One problem is like in a robot, you can only have one card, so you need to have a card emulation kind of thing.
Yeah.
And for level 3 testing or MTIP and this stuff, you need this official tool. So
so then with there, we placed a REST API on top of the tool so that you can select the different cards, the chip and pin cards, the contactless cards, the swipe cards, and it's an integration element. So you test, given that this card is selected and the amount is, then
we've built some cool tools there. So we've used the official like Visa, MasterCard approved test tools like Galley, the ICC, UL mainly, and we also built some, we call it a toaster, where you can put cards in and then amplify the signal into a card probe that you can use real cards.
Yeah.
That you use them as well.
They're used for both post-production testing and for merchants where they want to use the real cards, the real test cards.
Okay. We're already...
And contactless you're working on, yeah?
Contactless, we're working on. It's much more difficult than contact because you have some NFC fields.
So this is okay because January is fine, yeah?
Okay. Yeah, it only takes a couple of weeks and days. So almost getting to the end there. So do you have advices for like or wish to the payment industry on how to test better or
well, I'm biased
increase?
Because we've got a solution that we want to other people to make more use of, but you can see that the Nets, the Adyen, the other players in the marketplace are going to this type of thing, and I think that it improves quality overall, and I think the more people that adopt this style, then you're going to be able to go faster, deliver change to production better. So I think this is what should be done.
Yeah, more into testing. I've seen Adyen, they have a laboratory with our largest customer has like 8 robots, I think, that work permanently, test. Adyen has 20-something, and they test everything with robots, and I think this is kind of the way to go. So if I had a wish to the acquiring industry, I would wish more innovations in all kinds of things, like start with testing, start with innovative models, and try to change things. So don't, if you have a bullshit process and you digitalize a bullshit process, then you have a digitalized bullshit process. So,
I thought you said your English was.
So maybe this was not appropriate.
No, it's perfect English.
But so from this point of view, I would say that you need to look at these things different. Don't put your Excel list in kind of testing. So if you want to do automated testing, you have to think about this testing on a different way. So a common thing with acquired testing is I take a Visa card, make a £5 transaction and see if it works. This is in these Excel lists. Then I take a MasterCard, £5 transaction, see if it works, and I make a credit transaction and see if it works. This can't be the case if you really test automatically, because a card can have a pin below £40, or it can have currency selection on the card, it can have multi-application selection, can have currency conversion, everything. So you must be much, much more precise. You can't just take your old bullshit and then convert it into new stuff. So you have to think about this new style on testing, become agile, having all these...
repeatable process that goes much quicker, so you can keep on repeating it and refining it so that each day it gets better. And you get this continuous improvement aspect. You know, you know, the payments go through at first, everybody gets excited. We've done one end-to-end payment, but, you know, then it's our case on payment number 523, occasionally there's a glitch. Is it the system or is it the automation? Let's have a look at this, you know.
Yeah.
This,
So how many test cases do you have now?
there's around 2,400 that run on the...
Okay, yeah. So we have also with our application, just to give you an idea, we have something like 15,000 test sets.
Yeah.
And to run this on 72 different, 70 plus devices, with 2 monthly software cycles, it takes, I don't know, years to perform one cycle, but you have to perform it every 2 months. So you must do it electronically by robots, otherwise you only scratch the surface. And yeah, as Eddie shows everybody that they're like the agile new kids on the block, they use it as well. So,
but not with such fine robots.
No, they're using other robots, but this is yeah. Yeah, so that's it. 22 minutes, and I think we're in time.
Hey, we've got a full slide set as well. We've got a third slide.
A third slide.